Okay, cool. Yep, all good. Hey, it's Real Talk with Dr. David Anderson. I'm Dave Heiliger filling in for Doc today, and it's Tough Topic Tuesday. We're talking about deportation and detainment. Let's do it.
Live from our nation's capital, welcome to Real Talk with Dr. David Anderson. An expert on race, religion, and relationships, Dr. Anderson wants to talk to you. Our phone lines are now open. 888-432-7434. And now, please welcome Dr. David Anderson, your bridge-building voice in the nation's capital.
Welcome. It is Real Talk with Dr. David Anderson. Well, I am not Dr. Anderson, but I am Dave Heiliger, filling in for the good doc today as he is out a little bit this summer. But I'm here with you, and it is a Tough Topic Tuesday, and I need some of your thoughts. This is Real Talk with Dr. David Anderson, and what we do here is we try to take points and areas of division all throughout our world, throughout our culture, even in the church, and have a conversation. And we've got something to have a conversation on today. Today on this Tough Topic Tuesday, we're talking about detainment and deportation. And what I want to ask you today is, are we doing this the right way? As you see the way things are going down with these approaches and responses to those that are not here with proper documentation in the United States, as we are detaining and deporting, are we doing this the right way? Well, it's Tough Topic Tuesday, and I want to hear from you about this, some of your thoughts, maybe even some of your stories as you think about people in your community and things you've seen even around town. How is it sitting with you? 888-432-7434. That's 888-43-BRIDGE. We'd love to have you call in today. We want to have a conversation around these things because, as Dr. Anderson often says, comprehension starts with conversation, and we want to have a conversation around this. Doc, wherever you are right now, we want to give you a greeting, say thank you so much for setting up a platform where we can have tough conversations. We might disagree about some things, can all share the same spirit, the same faith. Maybe even some of you listening aren't a person of faith, but you tuned in to maybe get a little bit of perspective on what our faith community is saying about this topic. I want to welcome you to the conversation, and we're trying to find a place of understanding, maybe understanding either side of this. Are we doing this the right way? Deportation and detainment. 888-432-7434. You know, every day is something different here on the Real Talk with Dr. David Anderson show. We got Marriage Mondays, Tough Topic Tuesdays, that's today, Wisdom Wednesday, Theological Thursday, and Open Phone In Friday. We're broadcasting live on WAVA 105.1 FM out of the nation's capital. Hear us all throughout the DMV. And if you're watching us online, I am waving at you right now, like Dr. Anderson so often does to you. You get to see me today, and you can watch us on Facebook or YouTube, and you can drop a little chat in the comments. I'd love to talk with you today, even there. You can find Dr. Anderson on all of his socials at Anderson Speaks, whether it's Facebook, YouTube, Instagram. Find him there. I hope you've seen his latest TED Talk on YouTube. If not, Google that, check that out. A lot of ways to get Dr. Anderson's wisdom right there. And if you want to check me out, we've got gracismglobal.com. I get to lead our consulting branch of all this work, where we get to help leaders grow in their multicultural effectiveness. You know, things can be crazy out there, and we as leaders are just trying to figure this out, how to do it best. So we'd love to partner with you on that. If you need help, check us out at gracismglobal.com, or you can just check us out on YouTube and Instagram as well. Well, let me pray, because I think we want to get some guidance from the Lord today as we enter into this tough topic, and you can join me in prayer right now. Heavenly Father, we are grateful. We're grateful that you've given us this platform, that you've given us wisdom and discernment to really interact with some of the harshest and toughest topics that's facing our culture today. And Lord, I pray that you would give us just that, some discernment and wisdom today as we interact with each other, and protect those out there on the roads. We trust you for all this. In Jesus' name, amen. Well, if you are joining us as you're in your car, drive safe there. The first hour of rush hour here in the nation's capital. Here on this Tough Topic Tuesday, you can give a call and talk to us about this topic: deportation and detainment. Are we doing this the right way? And what's bringing this up today and right now, we think about July 3rd. July 3rd, Florida's Dade Collier Training and Transition Airport opened up an immigration detainment center that's now widely known as Alligator Alcatraz. Have you heard about this one yet? So Alligator Alcatraz, you know, Trump at some point wanted to open up the former Alcatraz prison possibly as a place to detain those that he's kind of headed for deportation. That got shut down out of logistical reasons, but then this idea popped up to use this kind of defunct airport out in the Florida Everglades to be used as a detainment center. Now we're hearing vastly different views on how humane the circumstances are there and whether or not it's truly housing the worst of the worst, like we've heard from the current administration. But whether you have some thoughts on this specific facility or what you think about some of the other detainment and deportation movements that our government has been taking, we want to hear from you today. So those in favor of this detainment center say that it is housing the worst of the worst offenders. Then those that oppose it are using words like internment camp, or maybe even something worse, even looking at concentration camp levels. You know, the heat out there is brutal in the Florida Everglades. The infrastructure that's necessary to be a viable housing unit for hundreds, if not thousands of people. Do we really have that level of facility to be able to run this with dignity? So it is sitting in those Florida Everglades. They call it Alligator Alley because the swampland around is filled with alligators, pythons. I mean, this is not a place that somebody could escape from, but it's housing hundreds now, close to thousands. And what we're doing is we're talking about housing people as they're being considered for deportation, specifically being used by our Immigration and Customs Enforcement Agency. There's been a ramp up of deportations under the new administration, and it's a fast and furious process for many. A lot of the reports are coming out saying that the approach is to take care of criminal offenders, those that we as society wouldn't necessarily want to make this place of hospitality and home. It's a place where we'd say, hey, if you're not here legally and you're also committing crimes, this is the time to make sure that you're not affecting the citizens of our country. And so as this has all been ramped up, deportations and detainments have been ramped up. There's been some pushback because maybe people aren't being given the due process of law to be able to determine whether or not they truly are here legally or without the proper papers. So with this escalation, fast tracking the deportation, a lot of times, I'm not sure if you see this as well as I do, but sometimes when you do things fast, you do things messy. And my question to you is, which side do you think we're on? Are we doing this the right way? Well, we'll be back on Real Talk with Dr. David Anderson.
ready to turn your house into the home of your dreams? Look no further than Champion Home Improvements, LLC. Their expert team will bring premium quality at competitive prices without compromise. From brand new roofs and gutters to a beautiful home full of windows, durable siding, they'll do it all. Repairs, remodels, renovations. Champion Home Improvements is where craftsmanship meets commitment. Sculpting your dream home into reality with unwavering dedication. Start your transformation today. Call Peter or David at 301-277-7200. Call Peter or David at 301-277-7200 or just go to mychampionhome.com. Champion Home Improvements, LLC. Get the home of your dreams.
If you're anything like me, you see all the division and hostility in the world, and you know that if you just had the right tools, you can make a difference. You could help bring some healing. You could be a bridge builder. Guided by Dr. David Anderson and the Gracism Global team, I learned how to live and lead by becoming a positive solution in a world that's dealing with such negative problems. I went from feeling overwhelmed to being empowered, from being a bystander to becoming a bridge builder. Dr. Anderson has taken the principles of Gracism around the world, helping corporations, ministries, nonprofits, and government leaders grow in their ability to bridge the deepest divides of color, class, and culture. Through Gracism Global's coaching and certifications, you can gain the confidence and skills to bring change right where you are. Whether for you or your whole organization, we're here to help you bring the power of Gracism into your life and leadership today. Visit gracismglobal.com and join us on this transformative journey. We're not just fighting against racism, we're building a world of Gracism.
Today is Tough Topic Tuesday. And now your host, Dr. David Anderson.
Welcome back. You've got Real Talk with Dr. David Anderson. I'm Dave Heiliger, filling in for Dr. Anderson as he's taking a little rest and relaxation, re-envisioning for the summer. And I'm getting to sit behind the microphone today here on this Tough Topic Tuesday. You know, I work with Dr. Anderson with Gracism Global. We get a chance to invest in so many leaders around the world as they're figuring out harsh, really difficult cultural conflict areas. And so if you need support on that, you can check us out at gracismglobal.com. But today on this Tough Topic Tuesday, we are talking about a difficult cultural topic right now. We're talking about detainment and deportation. Are we doing this the right way? You know, a couple, less than 2 weeks ago, on July 3rd, we saw Alligator Alcatraz opened up in the Florida Everglades. Conditions, varying reports depending on which side of the aisle the lawmaker sits on of how humane and appropriate those facilities are for this kind of staging area as people are being rounded up and look to be deported because of their lack of proper documentation being here in the United States. And what I want to know is, from your standpoint, are we doing this the right way? You know, going through and holding to our laws about citizenship and having the right paperwork, visas, green cards, those types of proper ways to reside here in the United States legally. When somebody breaks those laws and doesn't follow that, how do we handle that? And right now we're seeing a ramp up of detainment and deportation. And my question to you is this: are we doing this the right way? And maybe even there's some people out there that are listening and that are people of faith, people that follow what they really believe Scripture teaches about justice and how we interact with foreigners and how we really do keep to the rule of law. And you're trying to divide up in your mind, how do we do this in maybe even a God-honoring way? Maybe I want to hear from you about that. How do you align what the country is doing now with some of the things that you would say are values that you have, maybe even faith values. So give me a call, 888-432-7434. And we're going to have a conversation about this today. And let's get this started with Anonymous coming to us from Washington, D.C. Anonymous, thank you for joining the show today. All right. Sorry, we were having a little bit of trouble with your audio there. Hold on for us. I will come back to you in just a minute. Okay. So don't leave us. But what we're going to do is, as you're thinking through these kind of issues, let me share a couple of stats with you about what NBC News is saying as they're trying to keep up with current data around detainment and deportation. Okay. So NBC News is giving some numbers, some real data around how many people have been detained specifically since January of 2025. So right now, being held in ICE detention centers as of July 7th, 57,186 migrants are currently being held in ICE detention. That's a lot. That's a lot of people. Okay. Now, when they look down through the people being detained in these facilities, what they're saying is just over 50% of them currently have criminal convictions or have pending criminal charges. Just over 50% of them have criminal convictions or pending criminal charges. And 11% of them have been fast-tracked for deportation. All right. So that means 50% of the people that are being held in ICE detention right now do not currently have any other charges brought against them other than these violations of their immigration status. And that's really, at this point, just alleged. They have not been not all of them have been put through full hearings to completely determine their current status. All right. Now, when we look down through that data as well, we can see that between 65 and 70,000 people have been deported since February. And that's based on internal ICE data that's been reported by NBC News. So we are talking about, lots and lots of people being affected by this. My question to you is, with this kind of speed up process, should it be happening this way? Should we be moving that fast? Hey, let's go to Mike on the road. And Mike, thanks for joining us on the call today.
Oh, great. No problem. Great topic.
Excellent. Would love to hear some of your thoughts.
Well, of course, I don't think we're doing it the right way. I would think you're first and foremost looking for people who have committed handfuls of misdemeanors or a felony, or even though it's not a crime, maybe even someone who's actively a member of an MS-13 or the Mexican Mafia, ME. There's a bunch of international gangs out there. I don't think anyone would have any kind of problem with deporting them in a fast and furious way. But when you're getting, Manuela, the house cleaner, and she's coming in for her I've overstayed my visa appointment, and you're snatching her up and throwing her in a detention center. No, I mean, did you really need to snatch her up? Why couldn't you start the investigation while she's been coming in voluntarily and checking in? Why can't you start the investigation while she's still doing what she's doing? And then maybe the next time she comes in, after you get all the paperwork squared away, and if that's really what we want to do, then, grab her then. Why are we putting people in holding cells when they're ultimately being deported? Don't we have enough prison cells already? Do we need to build, billions of dollars more?
Yeah, I mean, that's a big number, isn't it? That we have 57,000 migrants that are being held right now. Like that's a lot of people to, if you might even say, care for through that process. There's a huge infrastructure that's needed for that.
Yeah, I think I saw in his big bill, this deportation and all that is taking up more money than the Bureau of Prisons.
Wow.
And that's got to be something wrong with that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So the strict financial cost is almost, you can't even quantify it yet because the process of it just keeps getting bigger and faster. And so whatever estimates they have, it's probably going to end up being even more than that. Back in July last year, as of July, ICE told Congress last year that it had identified 435,000 unauthorized immigrants with criminal convictions in the United States who were not in custody.
Oh,
that's a big number, isn't it?
That's a fine number to go after. But, as I understand, from the way I'm getting it, they're just going for these low-hanging fruit of people who overstayed their visa or whatnot. They're still here, that they haven't really committed any crimes. So if you got all these people who've committed felonies and whatnot, go get them.
So for you would say you'd be much more in support of a concentrated effort toward those with criminal convictions than the typical day laborer, somebody who's overstayed their visa, maybe even entered the country illegally. Don't worry about them as long as they're kind of a contributing member of society.
Well, we need to start somewhere. And, we have so darn many now. We've just winked and nodded for so long that, we've tacitly given our approval to this whole process. And, it just seems wrong to come down with the whole sledgehammer, right now to people who are otherwise abiding by our laws. I don't like it. I mean, I'm not a fan. I am compassionate to the stranger. We're supposed to welcome the stranger, and we allow in people seeking asylum. And as I understand, we're one of the few countries that does that. So we give, tourist visas, all kinds of. So I think we're very welcoming of the stranger. But no, I don't think, I'm not a fan of, just opening our doors and say, come one, come all. It's a free for all.
Got it. Well, now for those that are convicted and we know that they are on their pathway to deportation, what do you think about this alligator Alcatraz? Do you think it's a proper way to house them before they head on out?
I'm sure it's. You shouldn't be there very long. I mean, instead of, I have heard quotas like we need to get 1 million people a day or 1,000 people a day or whatever it is. We should be looking at how many people can we ship out a day. If our planes and buses and trains or whatever only hold 500, why are we worrying about getting more than 500 a day? No, I don't really want to just load up. I don't want to build another whole new prison that we're going to, I hope, end up destroying in 5 years. Spending all this money for something that's going to be a temporary structure. Why not just, we can take out this many a day? That's the number we're looking to bring in. That just seems like a more sensible way to do it. There's no need to be housing people for weeks on end.
Mm-hmm. So for some, fast track it even more. For others, maybe don't make them your top priority of getting them out first. Thanks so much for calling, Mike.
Thank you, Dave.
All right. Well, there you have it. There's even some difficulty as we're thinking about do we treat different groups of these people headed for deportation? Do we treat the different groups differently? Should we prioritize one group over the other? And is our administration doing that well? Let's give Anonymous another try here. Thanks for hanging on the line. Let's see if we can hear you this time.
Hello.
There you are.
Pastor
All
Heiliger.
right.
Can you hear me?
Yes, ma'am. Thanks so much for hanging on with me.
Of course. So that was interesting what you just discussed with the other caller. And mostly what I want to say is that it seems to me the Oval Office is just conducting its usual transactional type of business by arresting, deporting, appearing to be a tough guy in order to fulfill the deal with the rich contributors that the Oval Office has. And I think it's a terrible travesty and inhumane what masked, unidentified, untrained, unprofessional people are doing to regular citizens that, are peaceful.
Mm-hmm. So you would say that kind of follow the path of the dollar. So that this is probably financially beneficial for a certain group of society to to rid our country of a certain population and to kind of appease their desire for what America should look like, or how we should have our populate, what it should be made up of. And so if you follow the track of the dollar, then you might figure out why we're really doing this. Well, thanks so much, Anonymous, for joining the call today. We'll be right back after these messages. Welcome back to Real Talk with Dr. David Anderson. I'm Dave Heiliger, filling in for Doc as he is out today. I get to work with Dr. Anderson with Gracism Global. And what we do there is we help support leaders across all sorts of different sectors and industries as you're trying to figure out, how do I lead effectively in these multicultural situations when there's conflict, when there's questions, when there's division? How do I build a bridge of understanding? So if you want to figure out how to build bridges like Dr. Anderson, you can take our online assessment and find out what's your most intuitive cultural bridge building strength. Go to gracismglobal.com/assessment. And I think you're going to be really surprised at what it shares about you, how honest it is about what amazing strengths you have already almost innate in you that you can leverage for building bridges across some of these deep divides. So check that out, gracismglobal.com/assessment. And you can find out how to build bridges just like Dr. Anderson. Well, today we're building a bridge of conversation on this Tough Topic Tuesday. And today we're talking about detainment and deportation, asking the question, are we doing this the right way? And I think there's some things that we can agree on when it comes to holding to the rule of law, of how we want to make sure we have proper pathways for citizenship in our country, full citizenship, and how we house and welcome in visitors and even people who are contributing to society, and what to do when things don't go right, when people do break laws and are convicted of crimes, and more than just being here longer than what their papers say they should, but when they commit real big violations, what do we do then? Probably a lot we can agree on, probably some things we disagree on. And today we're trying to talk that out, maybe getting a little bit of collective understanding so that we all walk away a little bit more equipped to have conversations, how to advise our own local politicians, and how do we even have conversations with our family members and neighbors about this kind of thing. Well, we're going to go to Anonymous in Annapolis, Maryland. Anonymous, thanks so much for calling in and joining the conversation. All right, Anonymous.
Yeah, how you doing? Can you hear me okay?
Hey, there you are.
You hear me okay, sir?
Yes, sir. Thanks for giving a call.
Yeah, I deal with national security, and during my travels around the world, I always look at the U.S. Embassy, and the key thing that I always see are people waiting with their paperwork to come to the greatest country in the world, America. And I realize that, they come for the American dream. And for some reason, there are folks that are justifying folks that come here illegally. For whatever reason, they try to justify that. And it's beyond, I really can't comprehend that, because my parents came to this country and they became citizens. And now it's like, well, do it the right way.
Right.
But as I said, there seems to be a justification by some that it's okay to come to a country illegally. And I'm not shocked, but it gets into the politics, unfortunately.
Sure, it's almost like how do you even defend it when it's clear there are proper ways and improper ways? How would we even defend somebody who's coming in through an improper channel when there are proper channels to do it?
Yeah. And how do you do that?
Sure.
And like I said, I deal with national security, and I have traveled to some countries where if you break the law, there's a guillotine.
Wow. Sure.
And we here in America think, that's barbaric. But that's how they rule. That's their law in the Middle East.
So now that the U.S. is stepping up our kind of our response to, and maybe a harder line on holding to that, what we would call rule of law, people are really uncomfortable. But you've seen it in a much harsher way around the world.
Yeah, very much so. And the thing is, they come with your paperwork and do it the right way.
Sure.
The media never interviews. The media never interviews those people that came the right way. And I have quite a number of friends that said that they came to this country, they worked hard, and they became citizens. And they say, why is it fair? They asked me that question.
Right.
Why is it fair for those to come? I waited 12 years to become a citizen. I paid this. I did this. I did it the right way.
Yeah.
And I said, I said to them, I cannot understand that myself.
Yeah. Well, it seems like
I just can't understand it.
It seems like, from what I've heard as well, when an individual does come here through the proper channels, they might even be the most resistant to the idea that people would come here through improper channels, because they've experienced the hardship of going through all the red tape and all the process. But do you feel like our process is built for even those migrant workers that we've rested so heavily on, for our farming industry and our construction industry and a lot of the laborers? Do you think the system's built for people like them, or is it only built for a certain elite? Like, how does somebody who's maybe a little bit more, maybe less resourced, go through the proper channels when we're relying on them for such big things in our society?
Well, the thing is, well, let me go back. The problem is we allow this illegal immigration issue to go on for far too long.
Mm-hmm.
You know, at one point it was 10 million. And then 5 years later, they said, well, it was 11 million. For some reason, and I said, wait a minute. I am good at math. I'm real good at math.
Uh-huh.
And you know, they want to not give the real numbers. Anytime I hear these numbers, I multiply that twice. Because they feel if they give the right numbers, the Americans would not like that. But you see, this is the problem we now have. We allowed it to happen and did not do nothing.
Well, I'm going to have to cut you off. We're going to go to break right now. But thank you so much for these thoughts and all your insight, being a world traveler and giving us some of your opinions. Love to hear from the rest of you. We'll be right back.
Waterproofing before the water rises.
Are you tired of living in that smelly basement? Well, let me tell you something. Amber and I had some basement issues. We called Best Buy Waterproofing. They came and they helped us out. If you have mold, mildew, cracks, blistered paint in your walls, or you're just not quite sure if your basement is altogether safe, then call Best Buy Waterproofing. Just go to bestbuywaterproofing.com. They have over 30 years of experience, and they'll even donate $500 to my show if you end up doing business with them. But most of all, get your basement fixed. Give them a call, 844-980-3707. That's 844-980-3707.
Best Buy Waterproofing before the water rises.
Do you like Korean barbecue? My family and I went to a Korean barbecue place in Berwyn Heights, you know, in Greenbelt, the College Park area. And then I took some people from my staff. We ate some good old Korean barbecue. They cook the meat right in front of you. They bring the side dishes. We had such a great time. I want you to have a great time there too. And so guess what? The owner wanted to do some advertising with me. And I said, I'd love to advertise for you. I got to tell everybody how good and how fun it is to have Korean barbecue at Iron Pig Korean Barbecue. Let me give you their address. It's 6107 Greenbelt Road. 6107 Greenbelt Road in Berwyn Heights, right across the street from Beltway Plaza. Now listen, you can have all you can eat from 12 to 3 every day from Monday to Thursday. In the evenings, on the weekends and holidays, $36.99 for all you can eat. You've got to go over to Iron Pig Korean Barbecue. And when you get there, you've got to tell them, tell anybody, tell everybody that Dr. Anderson sent you. If you want to see them online, go to myironpig.com.
Welcome back to Real Talk with Dr. David Anderson. I'm Dave Heiliger, and I'm joining you here on this Tough Topic Tuesday. Hey, wherever you are, whether you're listening in your car on your way home or you're listening from your home as you're just getting started thinking about dinner time, I want to talk to you guys today about a tough topic, and I want to hear from you. We've been hearing from some great people today about detainment and deportation. my big question today is, are we doing this the right way? We've already heard from callers, some that are saying, yeah, if they're here as convicted felons, if they're convicted of crimes, if they're really doing things while they're here that are illegal, let's get them out. Maybe even fast track those deportations. Other people are saying, hey, if they're here the wrong way, it doesn't matter what they're doing here. There are proper channels to get into our country. And other countries have dealt with criminals in much harsher ways. Why are we worried about maybe a prison, a detainment center that isn't the bestest of conditions, right? So if we look at how we are compared to other countries, we're still a very hospitable and welcoming place if you come through in the right channels. Well, I want to hear from you, 888-432-7434. We've been looking at this conversation because, with Alligator Alcatraz that just opened up on July 3rd, what the Miami Herald is saying is they published 700 names of those being detained at this facility in the Florida Everglades. And they said that 250 of these 700 have no criminal convictions or pending charges at all. They're not necessarily what's been told to us as being the worst of the worst. And they're going to be the ones that we house there and get them out. But they're being subjected, or they're being put through the process in the same way as those that do have criminal charges. They're saying the charges of those that do have criminal convictions, a third of them, their charges range from attempted murder to illegal entry to traffic violations. It really is the full spectrum of something that maybe even you have the same thing, traffic violations. That's something that probably a lot of the listeners right now maybe have on your record too. But the range of violations that people have committed are all over the place, but they're still being held in the same detention center there in the heat of the Florida summer, maybe not in the best circumstances at all. Maybe it's something that a lot of our incarcerated folks face around the country. And maybe this exposes a little bit more of kind of the conditions that we generally put people in as they're in our criminal justice system. Complaints of facilities being broken down, not great food sources, not great access to hygiene and clean water, all happening in our criminal justice system already. So why would it be any different in this new facility that they just put up? So some of these conditions are harsh no matter where you go. But the truth is that in this whole process of detaining and deporting those that don't have the proper documentation here in the States, or maybe even are only suspected of not having the right documentation, they're all kind of be put through this in a fast and furious way. And what I'm asking is, are we doing this the right way? Well, we've got Ronnie, who's been on hold for a little while. I really appreciate you hanging on with us. I'd love to hear some of your thoughts, Ronnie from Vienna. Are you still hanging with me?
Happy to be here. Can you hear me?
Yes. Thank you so much for hanging on with me.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes. I agree with your previous caller 100%. The previous two before him, not so much. I grew up in Prince William County and Fairfax County. I was a teenager in the 80s, and it should have been dealt with when we had Reagan. And I always wondered why it was never an issue, And I worked commercial construction my entire life, large projects inside the D.C. metropolitan area. And I watched it go from, I'm just going to say it like it is, from white and black guys to 98% Latino. Mm-hmm. And majority of them don't even speak English. Mm-hmm. So I was baffled, and then I figured out how our government really works as I grew up a little bit. But so I'm all for President Trump, and I think he's doing a great job as far as that goes. So
no, thanks so much.
There's my 2 cents.
No, I appreciate that.
One more thing.
Yeah.
One more thing. Yeah, I can't go. I'm getting ready to marry a Peruvian girl that I've been with for 4 years. For example, I can't just go to her country and set up shop without going through their legal system and them knowing everything about me. Mm-hmm. Why should they be able to come here like the previous two callers? Why should you be able to come here and us not know anything about you? And especially when all these people were worried about COVID, the people that were worried about it, you know, they turned a blind eye to all of them coming across the Rio Grande then.
So you're seeing the
inconsistency. Thanks
so,
for hearing that.
No. And I got a follow-up question for you. So I think what I hear you saying is
Yes,
you're
sir.
definitely agreeing that there should be a deportation process, that this wrong needs to be corrected. It needs to be righted. This seems like a pretty fast and furious way to handle this issue. The question I'm asking today is: are they doing it the right way? Do you think the speed, the fast tracking, kind of taking the worst of the worst as well as the day laborers and putting them all in the same group, do you feel like that's the right way to do it?
I got you. I think that had we dealt with it the last 40 years, we wouldn't have to deal with it the way we're dealing with it now. And just the fact that it's finally being dealt with, you know, our jails, our prison systems, they're not very comfortable either. You know, and where these people are saying it's no worse than a lot of our prisons and that we have Americans in.
Yeah.
So I don't, my heart doesn't bleed for them too much. And I think that, to answer your question, had it been dealt with through the last few decades instead of just turned a blind eye to, we wouldn't be in this situation now. So, I'm just happy it's being dealt with, 100%.
Thank you, Mr. Ronnie. Appreciate your thoughts. Really
Hello?
appreciate you joining the conversation and adding that to what we're talking through today. So what he's saying is that if we would have dealt with it over the last 40 years, we wouldn't be in this position now. So maybe it is exposing a giant failure of the way that our legal system, if it were to have happened through Congress, through immigration reform, through a very systematic legal way, that we could have dealt with this. But now, too late. Now, if you wanted it to go in a way that was maybe a little bit more humane, a little bit more measured, then you should have done it through the legislators when you had the chance. Man, that's tough. Did we miss our chance to do this in a more humane way? You tell me. We'll be right back. Talk with Dr. David Anderson. I'm Dave Heiliger, and we are finishing up the hour show today here on this Tough Topic Tuesday. We've been talking about detainment and deportation, really trying to ask the question, are we doing this the right way? We're seeing what NBC News has reported as 57,000 migrants currently being held in ICE detention, and between 65 and 70,000 people have been deported since February. We've seen these numbers ramp up, and a strong approach to taking care of what the Trump administration is saying is a really bad immigration problem that we have, that we've overlooked this for too long, and we've heard it from the callers as well. A lot of people saying, you know, if you came here the right way, there wouldn't be a problem. And even our last caller saying it's been too long, and we've had our chance to deal with it, maybe even through immigration reform, but we didn't do it. And so now, tough luck. We're going to do it in whatever way we need to. So just glad that it's getting done. Hey, as we're finishing up the show, let's talk to Lynn in Capitol Heights. Lynn, do you have a quick comment or a quick question for me as we're wrapping up here?
Oh, yes, sir. Good afternoon to you. I think President Trump is doing it the best he can. I feel sorry for some of the immigrants that are, if they are being mistreated or something, but I don't think they are. But I don't know any other way they could get it done. The last administration, our borders are just, you could see the people at the border, just lines of people, and didn't do nothing. They just left them coming in and act like they didn't want President Trump to do nothing about it. They started selling the materials where he couldn't make any more border walls. So it's a terrible thing. And one question I would like to ask you is some of the people that stayed in here for 10, 20, 30 years, I mean, how much do it cost to become a citizen? Why didn't they become a citizen when they had a chance, and now they gotta leave the country? I mean, how much do it cost? Do it cost a whole lot, or what?
That's a great question, and I wish I had a quick answer for you. But maybe we can look that up. I know tomorrow we're going to be talking about some of these issues as well. So if you listen on tomorrow, I might have a little bit more details for you. But I'll log that one in and listen tomorrow, and we'll bring that up again too. All right, sir. All right. Hey, well, I'm going to let you go. And as we're closing up the show here, I just want to recap just a little bit. So we've been talking about whether or not we are handling the deportation and detainment issues right now in the right way. And as we've heard from our callers, some people feel like if we would have dealt with it earlier, we could have done it maybe a little bit more of a measured, humane way even, but now you stayed in too long. You had your chance, and by any means necessary, we're going to deport. But we have to understand that we are setting a national conversation right now, and a national mood, a national approach to how we view people who are here that weren't necessarily born here. As a white man, we're looking at people who look at what we might say is foreign, and we would kind of maybe all put them in the same category. I've heard stories of people that we know and care about who have been called out and treated really harshly just because they don't look maybe like they belong here, white Americans. So what we have to understand is, even as we're finishing up the show here, that we need to ask God, how can we handle people with dignity? And Lord, we're asking that for you right now. Lord, that you help us to see people with dignity and value the way that you see us. And Lord, we trust you for that. Amen.
Help your children